right, welcome to another episode of the Diplomats brought to you by diplomacybriefing.com. I'm here with Audacious Hand and Superstition. We're here to talk about the fall 1906 moves. By the way, after uh, after the moves in spring 1906, we saw a nice little illustration by Lady Razor, our other diplomat, talking about how Italy's just moving around and around, sort of talking about it. I think Lady Razor is fantastic. He does great artwork. And
Oh man, isn't this supposed to
and
be his like mansion, not the ranch?
so, all right, fellas. Boom. We've got the fall 1906 moves, and a lot of interesting things on the board. The first is I'm going to guess a diplomatic failure with, or maybe not with Russia, but Conk, as Turkey lives, Conk gets what really should be his home center. Khan, Khan, and Conk. Conk gets Khan, and Austria has an oh so unfortunate retreat into the black. Oh no, Austria moved to the black, but it could
Yeah,
have retreated there.
this is a hard move for Austria because they either had to get position in black or keep its center in Smyrna. So I don't know which one I would have done, but
I don't think it's hard at all. I think black is such a great place to have, and now he has a fleet there. That unless I mean, he can disband it at some point if he loses more centers. But I mean, he has a chokehold on black. They're never getting him out of there unless he chooses to leave. Um, we can also talk about Conk. I mean, I think we should just start referring to him as Emperor Justinian. Um, just the heroic like emperor of like fallen Byzantium who has returned to Constantinople. I mean, I pronounced him dead. Yet here he is liberating not only his capital center but the most strategic important center in Anatolia. Um, and I doubted even his move to the south coast of Bulgaria, which is among the most useless tiles, and here he is. Not only that, but I mean, he seems to be beloved by the people who have taken up his uh, his crusade against Russia. I mean, for instance, we can discuss Italy's support Greece to Bulgaria. Why does he support there? Why does he make it transparent that he supports Conk and his cause rather than keeping it ambiguous? I think it's because Conk's cause is the popular cause, and uh,
Damn straight.
an authentic Tom knows that, and he wants to show the people that he is on Conk's side. Even if we all know that he is very much on Russia's side, though in a kind of weighty way. Um, yeah, well done, Conk. I mean, I pronounced him dead more than any of you, and now I will pronounce him the undead Ottoman Emperor.
I'm
He's
sure
not
he's
living in
spinning it.
exile anymore.
Like,
He's not living. He's been restored to the throne.
Right, he's probably just smoking opium and dancing with his harem girls right now, and just happy.
So the other big, well, there's lots of news on this board, right? But the other one is, I guess Italy really doesn't like Austria after all. The pain and anguish of the stab that Audacious Hand said he had to bury and to unleash the Kraken, as I put it in the last episode. Italy just slips right into Trieste, unsupported, no help from Germany. Germany could have taken Venice, oddly enough.
help from Russia, but obviously it was going to get cut. So
Right. Um, so that wintergreen is in effect. It's not a deep wintergreen anymore. Germany forced to go back and defend in Munich.
I said a
What do
few
you
seasons
think?
ago, I wouldn't be surprised if Italy got Trieste just because Austria couldn't afford to defend it. But I like Italy's play in the Atlantic more than anything.
I like at least playing the Atlantic. I will say, even though I do think that this is a kind of poetic justice for Italy, especially since he's getting Trieste again, which was the root of the conflict to begin with. Which is kind of
You
amusing.
view Trieste as an Italian center, where
Yeah,
somehow
exactly.
Austria thinks it's an Austrian center.
I know, like the Italian meta mafia ultra nationalists are probably just partying and drinking and waving their little Italian flags right now. But but despite that, I'm not entirely sure if it's the right move because it does ensure that you get a build, but now you have to build an army in Venice, where I would like to have another fleet personally. I don't think Austria was any threat. And in a way, in a strange way, even though you're getting that build, you're really just going all in for Russia, who seems to continue their strategy of just, even at his own expense, trying to make sure that Austria is out of the game. And there's a reason for that. Remember, we were talking about the grind stab a while back and how Russia was just had built up this immense amount of, this relationship with Austria. And when you burn that to the ground, what you have is an implacable enemy that needs to be eliminated. And Russia needs you. You don't need them as much, except as a threat. I go back and forth. I really do like Italy's moves. We can talk about the West, but I'm not entirely sure about taking Trieste here.
Well, Italy will get a build, right?
Yep.
Up one. Where does Italy build?
He's got to build in Venice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to build, but by stabbing Austria, you limit where you can build. It's almost not. Now you have two armies pinned down there. It's not entirely the most useful build that you could have obtained.
How many games have you seen in fall 1906 with this few fleets in the Mediterranean?
I mean, not many.
There's actually a lot of fleets in the Mediterranean. They're just all beached.
Yeah. I mean, this is my one critique of Italy is he's not. I would be just eradicating all fleets that oppose me like they were cockroaches and just pumping them out. But still, I mean, he's doing well.
He's got the Mid-Atlantic and he's in Burgundy.
Yes, he clearly listens to my advice in this podcast and finally did the switcheroo into the Mid-Atlantic.
And he's propping up England he's propping up England so England can fight. And he's in Burgundy, yeah.
Well, yeah, so he has got England. I mean, the earlier move would have been better in terms of it's always better to have someone in Portugal because then they become your pawn and there's nothing they can really do.
Well, he's got he'll have it next year.
But then again, England did get exactly. He's in the North Coast. It's not much of a threat.
But let's Liverpool to save Edinburgh.
Right. I mean, it's not a perfect. I think that this is a great move for Italy. It's not a perfect move. Like for instance, I'm not sure about moving to Burgundy. I think Gascony is more valuable. Gives you a convoy line. You can it abuts more centers. Burgundy is your wall, and maybe he's trying to seal the German armies kind of away from the east. But I would have been tempted to hold or use Gascony for the support. Yeah, or something of that nature.
I like the Burgundy move.
I will note that I also will note that it seems like Italy has flipped France, and France is acting as Italy's pawn now.
Well, France is down to one, so. He's not
Where
gonna.
does France? Yeah, I mean, we can't mention that German sneak into Brest. We talked about it in the last episode that Germany's going down a dot and had to get a dot somewhere, and there only appeared to be one available. Oddly enough, Gascony could have moved to Paris, but what does France disband?
I think the army. I would do the army. I mean, it's kind of counterintuitive because it leaves you completely open, but at least the fleet gives you some power to negotiate. Um, you know,
Well,
you
yeah,
can.
I mean, Germany can get him into London.
Right. I mean, I would see him helping Italy more. Um, it's tough though. I mean, you'd have to have England not take the. I mean, England can be persuaded not to take Portugal because he doesn't want France's fleet to cause him trouble, and then he can be Italy's janissary, help him set up a convoy line there, perhaps at some point, or just kind of help move him around, and then ultimately Italy will have that dot in Portugal at his mercy, and that just becomes a fleet in the front. I mean, this is one thing people kind of lose sight of, is especially at this point in the game, if Italy has France doing his bidding, right, he basically has a fleet in the English Channel. Now, if he took France's center and built a fleet, how long would it take for that fleet to get to the English Channel?
Right.
At this point in the game, a unit at the front is much more valuable, even if it's one you don't have direct control over. So
I think this is a difference between Doc Bender and a very experienced player and an inexperienced player. Inexperienced player in diplomacy a lot of times will keep the unit that for the short run looks more defensible. A more experienced player will keep the one that's of more value to somebody. Uh, and you can. So I think your assessment's right.
Yeah, I mean, it's more fun too. Like, unless you just want to sit on the beach in Portugal and drink wine all day until you die of liver failure.
The problem is that there's an English fleet right there too. So if you disband it, England can take it too.
Yeah, that does add a layer of complication.
So I mean, England and France can actually bind together and make that really hard to take for a short while. But yeah, it doesn't give France any growth opportunity at all.
I just don't understand, and explain to me this. Norway was untouchable. England doesn't need two builds. Why did he move to Spain?
Because he needs a build.
He's already got a build.
No, he's using STP.
He's got Norway.
He's losing St. Petersburg.
St. Petersburg. So he needs a build to protect it.
Oh, so England's up 1. I'm sorry. I can't do math.
Yeah.
All right.
So England's up 1, and so he's probably it's almost like he might even turn that fleet into a defensive army or something. Who knows?
I suspect he builds an army.
Yeah, he's got to build an army in Liverpool. Or else Edinburgh is gone.
All right. What do we think of the German moves taking Brest? Anyone fault him for doing that?
It's a chance.
I mean,
He didn't know he would take it. He probably did. He knew he wasn't going to London, right?
At this point, I mean, his only ally is Austria, and he just abandoned him and ran back to Munich. Yeah, I don't love Germany's moves. I mean, he is setting up for a possible convoy into England, though. I guess he is going to take Edinburgh, or he could. So yeah, not bad. I mean, not bad. I guess England is not going to get a build at all, though, because he's about to lose Edinburgh. Probably lose it to an army.
No. If England builds army Liverpool, it can support Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Right. So, yeah. So then there we go. So that's just even more evidence it definitely will be an army in Liverpool.
Yeah, I don't like the stab to Brest just because, France is definitely going to work with Italy now. And Italy, all it has to do is support France from right back in because he pulled everything back. He's out of France. He's got one unit there.
So Ed, what do you think of Germany's stab on England?
I think he had to do it, but you're right. He was so out of position, and now he has no friends.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, but Germany's got some hope because if I'm reading it right, Russia loses Vienna, Budapest, Constantinople, gains Smyrna and St. Petersburg, so is down one and has to do a disband and is fully threatened by the fleet in the Black. So Germany might be able to get Warsaw. Where does Russia disband? I assume Smyrna.
Well, first, where does he retreat? Right, he has to retreat to Romania.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, I'm guessing the fleet.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the fleet, and which is just more good news for Italy. Everyone seems to ignore the green slime slowly spreading across the ocean.
Well, I think Russia may have. The deal with Italy is Russia's going to help Italy now, right?
Well, Italy's bailing Russia out, if anything.
Right. Russia's going to be grateful for that.
I'm going to put. I know I'm kind of jumping more towards the end. I feel like Italy. I think that the tides have shifted, and that we might be seeing. I really do think Italy is in the best position to win this game right now. And that would be truly wonderful to see an Italian victory in the Nexus finals after victory was cruelly ripped away from the legendary leukemia in season 1.
2 failures by Conk and a Pez failure. So, but this is a fantastic Italy play right now. I agree.
Yeah,
Highly defensible. You're right. I mean, he's got to build an army, so his options are a little limited. But that's not a bad thing for him to have to build, given how he's played this game.
I mean, he does just have another army there to use in the long term. But if I were going to rank the moves, I would say Emperor Justinian's return to Constantinople would be 1. Italy's would be 2, but just because I think that Gascony could have been used better than moving to Burgundy, and I'm not sure about the tap on Trieste. Who would you guys put 3? Yeah, I think everyone else is pretty much on the same level after that.
I got to give it to England. I was, getting the build maybe with Italian cooperation.
That's true. I mean, it is good for England. It's also go ahead.
Yeah, Italy supported England in, so yeah, it's definitely Italian cooperation. There's definitely a coordinated resistance versus Germany.
Yeah, and there's a lot in it for Italy, who gets the Mid-Atlantic too. So it's not really that hard of a sell. It's kind of a sell of necessity. But he did what he needed to do to survive. So yeah, let's put England after that. I mean, Austria didn't do too badly. If Italy hadn't tapped him, he would have taken back all of his home centers. So maybe Austria and England can be on the same level. And then somehow we have Germany and Russia, our 2 media darlings of the past few seasons, in last place.
All right. So we do this at the end. You kind of cheated by ranking them.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
We do the grades for the whole season, from where you began to where you ended the season.
Oh, we're changing up.
Well, no, we always do it for the whole year.
for the year.
So, who had
Oh.
the best year, overall year, or let's go grade by grade? Germany, superstition. What do you say?
Well, I'd say still a B. It's still growing. That rapid growth has definitely garnered a lot of enemies, and the position's still very off. But he's scrambling to ensure that he's gonna be in a defensive position. So hopefully he can turtle it out at least a year or so. So maybe there's a bigger target. But yeah, he's got to get rid of that English fleet behind his lines. So.
Similar thoughts. I'd give him a B minus though, because I think that he, even though England, I have to say, like, my original poo-pooing of his stab was maybe a little too emphatic, just because it goes against my tastes, and I like to roll with my allies. But he slid the knife into his friend, and now he's just kind of flailing all directions. He turned on France immediately. Kind of has lost credibility with people. He kind of left the battlefield, Austria's battlefield. If it was just pure, like a gunboat game, maybe a B or B plus. But yeah, I'm gonna give him a B minus.
Well, I have the exact sort of opposite thought. I give Germany incomplete. I think if this was a gunboat game, Germany would be toast. But Germany can, let's see if he can at all diplomatically turn it around with somebody. Uh, he hasn't lost anything, and I think it could prove the stab was overall effective or what he had to do. Germany's argument right now is I'd be in a much worse position if I hadn't stabbed,
Right.
which may be correct. Uh, so,
but evacuating France, he has no way of defending his French centers. He's gonna get shut out soon.
I will say that it's very unlikely because how entangled they are. But if Russia and Germany could work it out, they really could just move a tremendous amount of armies south. But I really doubt that's going to happen.
yeah, well, I think the Russian disband will be key for seeing what happens there, and uh, the diplomatic cooperation and whether or not it occurs is also important. The Okay, England's grade for the year. He got stabbed on it in 05. So how did he do for 06?
I think he branched out and made necessary friendships where he wasn't really looking, and hopefully he got himself a build, which was a very hard position to do. It was in Italy's best interest, so I think he made all the defensive moves that he needed to, and yeah, he may have lost some position by losing his seas, but right now he's got to get that build, he's got to get that army so he can be defensive.
I'm going to give him an A minus if it counts him slipping into Norway by anticipating Germany's move.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Especially if it only counts this year and not moving to Barents. Yeah, I'll give him an A minus.
I'm a B plus on England. I would be curious to know if Germany just tricked France in going to England, telling him that he was going to move to London, or uh, if he told France he was taking Brest no matter what. So it'll be curious to see if England can get France on side. It could be very helpful, and he might be able to snipe German centers as Germany's way committed south and east. But I like England's moves this time for where he was at. Italy for the year of 1906, fellas.
I love it. It's an A for me. I know you're not a fan of the Trieste move, but I thought he'd get Trieste this year, and he is. So.
Yeah. Did I give him a grade already? No, I didn't. Yeah, A minus. Again, it's an A except with, blemishes in style and efficiency.
Oh, I give him an A, solid A, maybe an A plus. Here's why.
Wait, you're not
Uh,
going to give him your traditional A plus plus?
I think
no,
he could have done so much more with Gascony, but
I thought about giving him an A plus plus. Uh, I mean, he's in the middle. He's in Burgundy. He's getting a build. He found a friend in England. There's no fleet presence in the Med to be of any problem to him. He's friends with Conk. He's friends with Russia. I was just like, he had Germany turning tail back to Munich. Uh, I just think he played it. I am not down on any of his moves on efficiency. I think he had the best season, and I think because he has all these friendships, has set himself well as we start nearing the late mid game.
if he gets that Russian fleet to disband, then he has the Turkish fleet is the only thing that really threatens the Mediterranean because the Austrian one's in black and it's not moving. So he's good. He's got control.
Right, and that little bit of giving life to Conk by putting him in Greece when he could have eliminated him could be super helpful for if Italy goes for the maybe stab at some point on Russia. Okay, Austrian grade.
I think Austria did the best they could with what they had. I'd probably give them a B just because they couldn't negotiate the safety of Trieste. Um, they had taken the Black Sea, getting your home centers back from those easy stabs that you let walk in. It's nice. He has no real pressure on Serbia. Uh, might change next. He's got Romania and Trieste on it, but he's just got a lot more control than he had before. He's still got another year to regroup, I think, though, and I think Italy needs to make sure he doesn't regroup. I think that's important.
Well,
So
if I'm not reading it wrong, either Budapest or Warsaw had to fall for Russia, right? And it ended up being that Russia decided to prioritize Warsaw over Budapest, probably for the retreat to Romania, is my guess. But I give Austria. Uh, I think I give him an A for what he had. I mean, if that's how we're ranking people, Austria's problem was not 1906. Austria's problem was 1903 or at 04, but 03 particular for not following up on the stab of Italy. I think is is
I mean, I
is what
think I'd give him an
valid.
A minus. Everything went perfectly. He would have had all his home centers back. He's managed to attach himself to Conk again, who has become kind of a beloved spirit animal and like a totem that you must have on your flag in order to have victory now. Um, yeah, I think that if it weren't for the fact that Authentic Tom hadn't gone down the cellar and pulled out his finest bottle of hatred and put his feet up in front of the fire and decided to sip it, he would really be in a good position. So
what I don't understand is if Germany and Austria are working together, why wouldn't Silesia just tap Galatia?
yeah, Germany.
That would have protected both.
Germany just abandoned his ally. I don't understand.
Then you wouldn't have to have left Trieste if you didn't want to. You could have moved Serbia up.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's poor coordination with them. You're right. I'll put him down to a B plus because even in spite of the fact that the geopolitical necessity, he and Germany can't quite get on the same page.
Because it was a 50-50 shot, but if Silesia went to Galicia, there's nothing he could have done on either front.
Yeah, the attack on Warsaw was fairly predictable that wasn't going to work, so it's a bit of a waste. Okay, shall we move on to Justinian?
No, we got to do French grades. I'm wondering if Italy will support France back to Brest.
If I was Italy, I know that you want to use France's fleet, but I would think I'd want to convoy out Portugal. just use the army support, but I don't know if there's any way to go. But
Well,
probably,
I mean,
I would say
France has got to.
if he's moving against Germany, yeah, I'd push him back in.
I'm so sad he moved out of Gascony because I would have loved him to have everyone on the board thinking he was going against Germany, and then suddenly using France to put that his own army into Wales would have been pretty sweet. Yeah, I mean France he's doing the best he can. It's hard to grade. I think he's fallen back off the spectrum of grading for me.
No,
I give him a B, depending on the diplomacy. We don't know. Could be an A.
I give him
Um,
a B. I don't usually like to leave my home centers in the fall.
Yeah. Yeah,
Could have supported West in the Mid Atlantic, anything, but just
yeah.
I would have added like Italy. Can you support Brest just in case Germany's going to take it?
Yeah.
It doesn't make much sense to me. So just
Turkey's grade.
A. I'll give him
A. He's
A
alive.
plus plus. He
Still not
gets the
okay.
A plus plus. Turkey gets the A plus plus.
I think this might be the first A I've given, maybe. I think I might have given him an A when he disbanded Constantinople. There should just be a short little play about him and Constantinople in this game.
The question is, what does Conk do now? Any thoughts?
I think with that Russian disband, he's got to take what he can. Hopefully, he can get Austria to move to Armenia and leave him alone for a while. But that's wishful thinking, probably. I think Italy's coming.
Turkish build incoming. The will of the people wants it. He returned to Constantinople in a golden chariot, and now just the will of the masses dictates that he must get a build.
Does he put Italy into Bulgaria?
No, at this point, I don't think he needs to help anybody but himself. If he's not getting
Well, how does he best help himself? That's a big problem.
I mean, he has to take Smyrna and then try to get someone to bounce with him in Constantinople.
I think he needs to bounce in Bulgaria and then try to double back for Smyrna.
Yeah. He needs to go. He needs a build. I would rather die than not get a build this coming year.
Yep.
Okay. Russia. Earlier I criticized that retreat, but he would have had 2 disbands if he didn't go to Smyrna, right? Well, I guess he could have been dislodged. No.
Previous Smyrna wasn't the best, I think. I think the black would have been better.
I think he was trying to tempt Austria with moving away from the Black Sea.
Yeah.
So I see where he was going with it. It just didn't work, but it kept him up a unit. So I don't know.
I mean, all the moves are fairly obvious. They're really just very obvious. I feel like an AI could have come up with them. I don't know. Maybe he's fooling us again. Maybe he's trying to go back to his his old sleepy ways, like Lady Razor's comic of just looking longingly at the window and taking baths. There we go. Yeah. Oh, where are you going, Ed? You missed it.
Oh, I did. I went over it.
Yeah.
All right, hold on.
So that's the problem with the Russian.
This is the best one.
Is he did very well by not having any enemies, but it got to a point where he had to stab his ally, and then when he did, now he's in this position where he's got all enemies. So
yeah,
that's the problem with not being aggressive out the bat.
Yeah,
trying to take centers for yourself is eventually the only centers you can take are your allies.
I don't know. He got Russia Italy as a friend, but I think I anticipated that he would. You and I argued about this, but I'm clearly lost the argument objectively. I thought he might get Germany a little bit more on side than he did. And Germany has clearly prioritized Russia over England, which I think is bad for Germany, bad for Russia, good for England. And I think that's what was going on. But on the other hand, if we're judging it by the season, he's down 1.
Mhm.
He's down one. Yeah, he did the best probably that he could tactically, but I don't know if he did the best he could do diplomatically. So, who am I to judge Village Idiot? Well, I'm the guy with the podcast. So I want to go C minus.
Yeah, C. I'll give him a C.
I'll agree. He doesn't have any friends, so see.
Or
You
as
can
they
say Italy is a friend, but Italy is just a ally of circumstance at this point for me.
yeah. Italy's just a big slut, but she's really hot.
Yep.
Okay, I really gotta go. I really got.
Well, we're all going to go right now. So thanks, guys, and thanks to diplomacybriefing.com. And you guys have a good night.